So what's the future of the internet? Well, it's pretty damn bleak, actually. As a person who worked professionally in the research and education networks, the ISEC offices, and Internet 2 and NLR co-ops, the segregation of people from each other digitally is greater now than it used to be. In fact, in the late 90s, as soon as the software PBX was invented, it was going to be over. Why, nothing could stop the voice of any person from reaching any other person. We would be able to whisper and be heard in Australia. Even the Greek gods didn't have that. They needed a messenger. But we have it now. It's battery powered in our pockets. But we don't text message people before we call them and say, hey, if it's a bad time, text me back. If not, I'll call you in 5 minutes. Because we don't know socioculturally how to use the tools we have. We all claim we do. We assume we do, because, well, I'm me. I'm awfully fancy, and I'm part of the new generation. But we're kind of the generation that didn't do well. We're the first generation, arguably, that didn't exceed the social movement growth of the previous generation. It's argued that the next generation will have to make up for our inadequacies and do their development their own. We've managed to make callous and light the sum whole of human knowledge. Why, it's available at our fingertips. We know more, each of us, by the time we get out of high schools than Galileo knew of the stars. And it's a joke. Ha ha ha. So, we can build $2,000 recording studios that rivaled what humans could do. And for $500, a middle school put up a satellite blimp that was able to take photos of the Earth all the way up into space, drop down, and give GPS coordinates for them to go scoop it back up. Something that Patton really wanted to do. Though I really like to imagine what Patton would have said about Google Earth. So now, there comes a question to the Pirate Party as administrator of a non-existent national political party. What should be important to us? You know, what should be important to our constituency? And we've got a pretty good idea of one thing. Homesteading. Our Conestoga wagons today are U-Hauls. We can find our ideological peers anywhere in the world, and we can, well, find places to go live next to each other. Radical new forms of living are available to us. There's recipes available online, just like chicken marinara. New forms of co-ops, collaborative workspaces, radical intentional communities of all sorts. As we travel the country, we've been volunteering to intentional communities because we think by working next to them we'll be able to figure out what's keeping their natural growth from happening. It's really hard to figure out what city-level policies should be without working next to people. That's a problem with a lot of people on the internet. Everything's real quick. I already know the answer. I thought of it, and I'm me. And that's a problem. But there are solutions. There are gangs of low-income hackers in India on jumping stilts, jumping between buildings, looking for wireless access points with their Nokias, so that they can get just enough connection to write another line of code so they can contribute to the great human experiment that is currently the information mesh. And I think we'll see some of that here. Oh, yes. I hear so much discussion of the spectacle. What do you think of a national political party of Obama or this new law or that new law? Though there is a great one I really recommend looking up. They're trying to make legal FM radio broadcast to 100 watts. That's 5 miles for local community use. That's a good thing. But, again, I'm really worried that if they pass that, no one will have anything to say. And that would be awfully shameful if they give us back the tools they took from us and we just say, meh. I mean, it's okay, cool, I guess, if you want, but, you know, I got the Facebook, so, like, you can, whatever. So, the thinking man's segregation today is not by race. We segregate by our media. We dress like what we listen to, we listen to like what we watch, and we generally try and keep like with like. I find folly in this, especially as we see the harsh eye of the police state, armed by corporate backing, starting to segregate our media sources. I would argue we're each aggregation nodes. I am what I recommend to you, and you are what you recommend to anyone. And combined together, we are what we recommend to our mutual friends. But what does Verizon recommend to you? What does BMG recommend to you? And does it represent you? Well, I'd say no. And I'd say most of the content producers in the country, they say no too. How many people like music? Almost religiously. Indeed, and it's a common trend. We all claim to really like music. But we have to become more involved, not in its production, because people produce it. You find a band you like, you seed it. What the term piracy was given to us, not taken by us, for what I would call the voluntary distribution of things that you like. By you seeding it out to other people, you are replacing a multi-million-dollar industry of resyndication that is no longer necessary. Now, I can film something for 2 hours, like this fine camcorder here, which is a modern marvel in its own regard. And I think by the sticker on it, it probably has a 1-button press to put it on YouTube. And I can find 5 people that also like it. And if they like it, they'll seed it. And if they seed it, I'll have a better distribution mechanism that existed to the human race 500 years ago. Even 50 years ago. So, make use of the tools you got. Look to your left and look to your right. If those people look like you, then you've got culture. You've found community. Now where are you living and what are you producing? What infrastructure are you building? If you and those like you pick up and decide to settle to greener pastures, are you leaving behind something that people in the future can use? Did you run anything? Did you wire anything? Did you build anything? Or is everything falafel chic? It's a term Bruce Sterling used in Brazil. They build apartment complexes, but they never finish. There's no plumbing, there's no electric. There's just these big concrete girders, but people live inside them. They build shanty towns inside of them. So you have the same type of dirt shanty towns that exist on the ground, but they're in the unfinished remains of what's supposed to have been innovation. So I see the repurposement of old things, the group of 20 people creating a co-op or collaborative workspace by pooling in resources to buy that $500,000 lead-lined industrial building down the street. But building something so new into something that failed before is pretty falafel. It's pretty building a shanty inside something that failed before. We need new infrastructures, we need new tools. Not the rehashing of the things that failed before us because it was available at low discount rates. Resources are available to those of us who are willing to look at the world as a frontier. The recording industry is nothing. The banking industry is nothing. The power industry will not stand against the low, cheap solar panel at an aerosol can. And the only thing that will keep us from using it will be the drones with the aerosolized morphine that are in the sky. But that's a rant for another time. So we'll be in town for the next couple of days. I sincerely look forward to speaking to each and every one of you while we're here. I look forward to seeing you all at the Free Festival. And I look forward to hearing what the rest of you have to say. I love open mic nights, I really do. It brings a warm glow to my heart. And before we move on, recording? I'd like to ask you all, we're actually a team of 4, though you only see 3 of us here. The 4th guy is doing a biodiesel conversion on a school bus in Atlanta and a parabolic mirror solar installation. But today's his birthday, so I'd love to, in violation most likely of most people's security cultures, invite you all to commit a $25,000 act of piracy with me. And, just in time, a happy 28th birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday just in time. Happy birthday to you. And of course that was probably quite illegal. And before I leave, I'd love to take a picture of this crowd. And I would love to put it up online as part of the public historical record. But I see so many logos that are incidental that would make it technically illegal for me to do so. So do the owners of the Wendy's, the Coca-Cola trademarks, whoever made that booklet there, do they get to dictate, because we incidentally have their icons around us, what can and can't enter the public record? By wearing someone's insignia, are you giving them right to determine what context you're placed in historical record? Well, today, legally, you kind of are. But we'll see, shan't we? We will see. So thanks a lot, guys.
All power to the motherfucking pirates.